Hi.
What's up, bro? Seen all
How
the
are you?
pods. It's crushing. For an argument, could you define what you mean real quick in a more into context? Like when you say less value,
I
less
literally
attention,
just went over
less
that with the other
resources?
guy.
30 seconds.
I literally just went over that.
15 seconds. Less what? Less attention?
I
less...
said it. Just not even said men need to approach relationships and dealing with women from a skeptical standpoint.
Well, that's a little different than women deserve less, but I think
Yes,
I agree
assume
with
that
you.
they deserve less unless they prove they deserve more. Yes.
Okay, that's a tough argument because I think I agree with that. But the thing where I disagree, because I've watched some of your content.
Sure.
So I'll pick on points that I think I disagree with.
All right, what do you disagree with?
Do you think you value commitment to a woman?
So, can we turn up that mic? Because
Do
the
you
music is loud. Sorry, say that again.
do you value commitment to a woman?
If it's the right woman, yes.
Okay. Can I
But
ask
that
you
commitment has to be earned.
Facts, 100%. You preach a message a lot right now that the masses is that women are basically like a lot of what I would consider Miami women that are going after value, that are kind of going after them for basically their money in a sense, for lack of better words. And I think what's missing potentially part in your message is that it's like you probably don't speak enough about the fact that commitment to a woman, at least in a biblical sense, which not everyone's Christian, not everyone's ever, but there's a reason why biblical is the way it's written, that it goes church, Christ, man, woman, marriage. There's a reason that it's written that way, and I think part of your message is missing that it's like, are you married?
No.
Or do you want to get married?
I will in the future.
Why?
But not with the state involved.
Not with what?
Not with the state involved.
Okay, that's fair.
That's a whole other conversation.
With who involved?
Oh, I think it's a union between man and woman and God. But what I'm saying is that, right? So, look.
Okay, fair.
I see your perspective because the other guy made a religious argument as well. So, I agree with you on what you just said.
Okay.
But the problem is that most women do not observe this Christian worldview that you presented. Unfortunately.
I agree.
I wish they did.
I agree.
That was back when we were a superpower in the 50s.
I agree.
But now we live in a secularized world where most women think it's okay to kill babies.
Yep.
They don't believe in male authority.
Yep.
They don't respect men in general, masculinity.
Facts.
And most importantly, they don't respect the concept of men are above women.
Okay.
If I was to say women are supposed to obey men, most women will bucket that and say that's bullshit. Obviously, you would agree with me because you come from the Christian world, my worldview. But the problem is that we no longer have these things in place to keep women in check, unfortunately.
I agree with you a lot, which is probably the problem. However, I will say one thing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the root of the problem is not the women. The women in Miami down here that are running around and acting like the way they act is because of the weak fucking men we have in this country. Because the men aren't stepping up and they're fit, because they ain't got no wealth, because they're not stepping up into... Correct, because men aren't stepping up into the men they're supposed to be created to be. If more men stepped up and said, I'm going to be a leader, and the man that I'm supposed to be, I'm created, I'm divine, I'm going to follow my purpose, I'm going to do the things that God's calling me to be, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to wake up early. If men did more of those things, I think women would actually have more of a breed to go after and more actual men to go after. The problem is that for as many women as there are that are out here hoeing around, there's double as many men being weak men that aren't stepping into their purpose.
Yeah, for sure. There's many problems that I've been able to identify with this: the destruction of the nuclear family, men not necessarily adhering to their roles. But I think something that we don't talk about because we're so easy to criticize men, which I do this all the time as well. But we never talk about the invisible column, which is feminism.
Sure.
And this feminism has created a lot of problems, and to talk about that gets you labeled a misogynist, gets you banned off social media.
Okay, I think
I
think that's bullshit. But however, at the same time, okay, let's say.
But we know that's the problem.
YouTube bans Fresh and Fit. Then what? Fresh and Fit figures it out. Whatever. Anybody, it's a responsibility aspect. So if we're preaching the concept and we're preaching the responsibility to men, I think, and more importantly, if men stepped up way more than the way they're stepping up today, the men in this country would respond. If you point the finger at the women are going to be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, why? Because there's a bunch of fucking weak men running around.
Yeah.
You step up as a man, and as you preach that message, you have a bunch of men stepping into their calling, into their purpose. I can guarantee you the woman problem already solves itself. Just like everything else.
Again, like I said, for sure, I agree with you. Like that, the men are obviously not adhering to what they're supposed to adhere to. But like I said before, we already bash the men enough and say men need to step up, etc. This has been the.
I disagree.
No, that's absolutely. They've been demonizing men for a very long time.
I think modern feminism men do, which I think is bullshit, and I agree with.
No,
I don't think men, you men, me men, like men have men-to-men conversations and say, yo, you need to step it the fuck up. I don't think enough men are having that conversation.
Like I said before, we already hold men's feet to a fire to perform. Okay? We already do that, right? And men have been ostracized from society for being losers, etc. My point is that we don't hold that same level of accountability on the female side is my point. Now, religion used to do that.
Yes.
Religion, shame, family,
Correct.
society,
Correct.
they used to do that. But
Yes.
guess what? Those guardrails are now gone. So since those guardrails are gone, where
Bring
religion
them
doesn't
back.
matter,
Bring them back.
girls can be whores.
Preach that message.
There's feminists, etc. But
think
here's
about
the thing.
that. Preach that message.
We're never going back.
Preach that message. Bring that shit back, and I can guarantee you right now, the rest of the problem will solve itself.
And this is the religious argument that guys make.
Hold on.
Look.
You're pointing a finger at a symptom, not the root. You say the root, men, you step the fuck up and you solve your problems. 99% of the shit you're talking about is solved. It's just like businesses. It's just like podcasts. Oh, YouTube demonetized me. You're the problem, brother. Fix it. You fix your own shit. You end up rising to the problem and solve and make a solution just like it would be for women.
Again, like I said before, that's all ideal. That's all great. But the reality, like I said before, is that what's ideal versus what's real are really two different things.
Right,
and
fair.
this religious idealism, it used to be the thing that kept women in line, but it's gone now. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
I think I'll agree with you that that's what's happening today, and I'll agree with you on that.
Yes, that's
but
that's
I do
the problem.
think that and I agree. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Feminism and modern feminism is fucking
feminism,
bullshit.
while secularizing the country, have
Yes.
led to this big problem. But that's what you can't talk about, is my point. We could sit here and point the finger at men all the time. We do.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But to point it on the other side, that's when you start getting censored. That's when you start getting banned. That's when you start getting shadow banned. That's when
Which
you
I
don't-
agree is
when
bullshit.
you have issues. So that's what I'm saying, is that we never talk about that problem. Trust me, I've talked about men being bums and losers, etc.
Yeah.
I tell guys all the time, you shouldn't even date unless you can provide for her and yourself. But we already know that. We don't talk about the other problem.
All right, last point, because I think this is where we agree on too many things to make this a
Sure, and there's a huge
beautiful
line
comment.
here too. So,
last thing is, if the message was bringing back what you just said mattered, which is a lot of the biblical times, a lot of the biblical principles, bringing back the men stepping into their calling, men stepping into their purpose. If that was the core message to men right now, and that was spelt louder, that was spoken more, that was spoken in a more frequent message, to me, this is my opinion, which is why I'm on this mic. Speaking about the woman in Kyle's eyes, which in a man's eyes is like, you're wasting your time, you're spending your energy on something where you're speaking about a symptom when you could be speaking about the root. And the root, in my opinion, is the fact that men are not stepping into their calling enough in this country. And if you did that shit more right now, I can guarantee you right now, a lot of it, you wouldn't be here on this corner.
Trust me, we do.
There'd be more shit.
we do. We have episodes dedicated to guys stepping their stuff up all the time.
Well, let's fucking go.
We do.
I'll be on the next one of those.
Yeah.